So let's keep going. You know, you already know that equilibrium price determined by the equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity will be determined by the supply and demand. But for many reasons, you know, there are some non-equilibrium prices. I mean, sometimes government regulation or government regulation could intervene to the market to change the prices or to control the prices. Why? What's the reason? Because most probably, market equilibrium price is not desirable, and maybe there are some problems about, you know, market prices. Let's go with the, you know, price controls, and we have two kinds of price controls. One is price ceiling, other one is price floor. So it simply means that a government regulation will determine price. They will impose a price. So what's purpose? Of course, the main purpose is that which market doesn't do that, which market are not able to provide, it's provided by the regulation. For example, let's go to the, let's go with the price ceiling. So you know that in the big cities, one of the problems is high rents. In big cities, one of the problem is high rents. So imagine that. What about our city? What you know? Could you give a number about the rents, housing rents? 2 room.
Almost 2 or 300 months.
Are you sure? It's supposed to be a little bit higher.
It depends on its place.
Okay, so you are a student of Qafqaz University. You want to have a house in Myanmar. What about this? 250 months. Okay, so let's say that it is 400 manats. Okay, I will give you, you know, a real life example. We have a housing market, you know, rental housing market. And in our rental housing market, the price is rent. Thank you. And quantity refers to the number of houses supplied and number of houses demanded. So we have a positively sloped supply curve, we have a negatively sloped demand curve. And as you know, do you think that there is a huge demand? I mean, is there a powerful demand for the rental houses? Definitely. There is, you know, yeah.
People that come to work here or other.
Exactly. Students come here to study, to work, or for other reasons. And let's say that rents are 600 Azerbaijani manats. So it's quite possible. What does it mean? If there is a strong demand, I mean, just if there is a huge competition among the buyers, among the, you know, just the tenants who want to rent the houses, and there will be a huge, you know, competition among the sellers, I mean, who have the house to be rented. But definitely, demand will be much higher. Why? Because there's a lot of people, they migrate to, the capital city. So what's going to happen? You definitely know that this number is a little bit unfair. This number is a little bit unfair. Why unfair? Because you start a month, you don't eat anything, you don't wear anything, you just don't go anywhere, and you have already spent 600 manats. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen? In this case, it means that there's a problem. And in this case, it means that market conditions, I mean just the supply and demand conditions, cause a price that's not desirable. So it's not beneficial for the citizens. So you come to the capital city, you want to just make money, you want to save money, maybe you want to buy a house for yourself, you want to buy a car, or just many other things. Maybe you want to finance your education or some other things. But you come here, main expense of you, I mean just the main spending from your income goes to rent. So it's a little bit unfair. Then government regulation sets in. Government says that this number is very high. This number is very high. And they say that, no, it's not unfair. It's unfair, excuse me. It's unfair. So it should be less than that. So ceiling means that you cannot, just go further of it. You cannot go beyond of it. It's the ceiling, and you cannot, just go above this ceiling. Yeah. It's the boundary, kind of boundary. It's the upper boundary that doesn't let you, to go. So it means that they are going to set, or they are going to, just determine a ceiling. Ceiling for rents. In the price in general meaning, but rent in, okay. So, and they say that it's supposed to be, for example, 200.
Government regulation.
Yeah, government regulation sets a price ceiling. Government regulation sets a price ceiling. And they say that 600 is unfair. So as you could see, just on the graph also, it says that price ceiling is binding or binding. Binding means that, it means that it has an effect. I will show you something that it's not binding, so it means that it doesn't have any effect. But when you, just set up that much, price, then it means that you have a, binding price. So I mean, it means that it doesn't let you go over it. It doesn't let you, make a transaction. I mean, just to make a rental house higher than this price. So we call it's binding. Okay. So it means that in this case, prices are not allowed to, go over this number. Also, for example, if there is high inflation, you could generally, they do to control the inflation rate. I mean, if prices go higher with a rapid, pace, with fastly, so you try to do, mitigate. I mean, make it decrease it, kind of decrease it. So when you look at this one, when you look at this graph, you're going to apply your previous knowledge to this graph. And your previous knowledge exactly says you that if prices go down that much, if prices go below the market equilibrium price,
You'll have shortage.
So let's go step by step. First,
Quantity of supply is decreasing.
Quantity of housing, rental housing, rental houses supplied go down. We are moving along on a given the supply curve. And on the other side, we know that, for example, let's say that you are staying with your family because 600 Azerbaijani manats is very high, then as you see that it is 200 manats, maybe you have if you have a scholarship or you have other kind of incomes, you can go and you can rent a house for yourself, even just to stay alone or something, or so on. So it means that, for example, if some families stay together, they can also split for this price, because of this price. So what's going to happen, of course?
Quantity of demand goes down.
Quantity of rental houses demanded will go up. So, as we are moving along on a given demand curve, of course, quantity of a good demanded or quantity of apartments demanded, for example, in this case, will go up. But on the other side, quantity of apartments demanded will go, supplied will go down. So we already know that, for example, let's give a numerical example, and let's say that when the price is 200 Azerbaijani manats, you see that there is, for example, 20,000 houses are demanded for the rental housing, but there is just only, for example, 5,000 houses, are supplied. So who are the lucky ones? Who are the lucky guys? They get this number. So surplus in this market. Shortage in this market means that
15,000 apartments.
Yeah, 15,000 people or 15,000 demands for rental house are not, met by the supply. So it simply means that, without economic terms, it simply means that 15,000, let's say if one people live in one house, it means that 15,000 people are not able to find rental houses. So there is the shortage. The name of shortage or the meaning of shortage is that people are not able to find, place to live. So why it happens so? Why do you think that it happens so? So, quantity of a good demanded exceeds quantity of a good supplied. It's definite. But why it happens? I mean, just when you go to the real life and when you think of that, why it could happen in real life?
You mean shortage?
Yeah, shortage. Let's go with you.
Maybe, I guess, the government decreased the price so much, more than we need.
But, just a sec. Even it's not so much. We know that if you go below the equilibrium price,
Little shortage.
but the shortage is shortage. It's not. I mean, it's not equilibrium price. If there is a shortage, it means that you have a disequilibrium, right? So, and this price that's prevalent in this market, it is non-equilibrium price. For example, 600 is equilibrium price, but 200 is non-equilibrium price. Okay, non-equilibrium price.
I want to add about something to shortage. So why before you said that why shortage exists, and I want to ask maybe.
You want to add what?
As a law of demand, we said before, if prices go down, the demand is go up, and that's why exists shortage.
But for example, let me give you one example. You have a very perfect house, kitchen appliances, carpets, washing machine, other things, other utilities for your house. So you think that value of your house, you are owner of the house, you are a landlord. You think that value of your house is, let's say that 500. If somebody wants to stay in your house, if somebody wants to rent your house because of the good condition, because of the equipment, because of the kitchen appliances, because of other things, maybe because of the location, they have to pay you 500 Azerbaijani manats. But when these, when these non-equilibrium price are set, then you think that, no, my house deserves, or my house is precious than that price. So it simply means that you will claim more. You will ask for higher price. When you ask for higher price, of course, what you will do in this price, Yeah, quantity of a rental house supplied by you will decrease. So if it will happen for the other guy, it will happen for the other guy, then it means that, you know, it's the one reason. It's the one. On the other side, you know, you can go to the real life and you can find a million reasons why the quantity of a good, you know, increase really. What's the real factors behind this? Okay, I say you just one. You know, let's say that because the rents are very high and two families stay together. But what you do then? You go and two families stay together. Let's say the two brothers, they stay together and they have their own families. But when the rental house price go that down, you know, they say that okay, we can split and we can have different, you know, we can live in different rental houses. So because of this reason, as price go down, quantity of a good demanded go up. Yeah, let's go with you.
If we consider the 200 months as a marginal thinking, it means that marginal cost is more than marginal benefit. So they don't choose 200.
Yeah, you mean you are looking from the, yeah, you are looking to the market from the
Buyers.
yeah, seller's viewpoint, right? So landlords, maybe we can say. So your colleague, you know, observed the market from the viewpoint or standpoint of the landlords, and she said that if, you know, they think that as a marginal thinking, so the marginal cost is less than the marginal, you know, revenue, and then they will stay away. Because of this reason, quantity of rental houses supplied will go down. Okay?
As we see from the graph, and as you explained, when the government uses this price ceiling, it just never works. It doesn't work. Always shortage appears. What they do for avoiding this problem? I mean, shortage problem. Can they do anything or?
Yeah, you know, just if you are not so in the long run, if you are talking about the long run. What's the problem when there is a shortage in the housing market? What's the problem?
The problem is that people can't find out.
Exactly. The problem is that people are not able to find rental houses. So the best solution is to build houses. So, for example, generally, government supports, you know, the new housing. You know, they try to give credits with the low interest rate or so on. They want to support it, and they want to, you know, just solve this problem on the long run. Because we already know that, you know, in the short run there could be some problems, but when it goes to the long run, we try to solve it with the permanent solutions. Okay, with the permanent solution. For example, you know, solve it, you can, you know, just go to some you know, unwanted methods or so on, but generally it's not desirable. They don't do that. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so price ceiling is okay? Okay, so is there any question about price ceiling? So it means that we understood and we don't have any question, or we don't understand anything, so we don't have any question. Okay, thank you. So there's one guy who understands me, so it's not bad. So okay, let's go to the price floors. And one of the you know, type of the price floor is the minimum wage. Minimum wage. Do we have? Yeah. We have a graph. You know, let's, you know, let's assume that there is two types of labor. Okay? In the labor market, let's assume that there is two types of labor. One is low skilled, less educated. Other one is highly qualified and well qualified or so on. So For the less qualified people, what's going to happen? So imagine that there is a market, and this market is for less qualified people. Do you think that there is a people who will work for the 200 manats? I mean, just think a person, okay? They doesn't have a, education. They are not well educated. They don't have, they are not highly qualified. I mean, just they don't have experience or so on or so on. So in this case, for example, do you think that you could find someone to work for 200 manats? Yeah, it's quite possible. What about 150? Yeah, even 100. You can find people who could, who could work for the 100 manats. But very important, crucial information. And this crucial information says you that as you live in this city, 100 manats is kind of unfair. Or 150 or 200 manats is kind of, unfair. Why it's unfair? Because you will get 100 manats, you will eat, you will buy clothes to yourself. If you had children, you will send them to the school, maybe university or so on. You will pay the tuition and fee. And what else? What else could be? Yeah. If you are, for example, if you love go to cinema, you should go to cinema with the 100 manats. And if you won't like to go to theater, you could go to theater. And you can, just spend some of these, and even you can save, right? Of course, it is impossible. It is impossible. So definitely you will not have a chance to save. Not even, save, you are going to have negative saving. Negative saving means that you will go and you will borrow money from your, friends, from your colleagues, from your somebody. So they say that, for example, in Turkish, there's a byword. They say that somebody who has a lot of, lends, I mean, just the money to pay back, they say that even they have to pay back the money to the flying bird. Okay? Okay, in the labor market, prices. In the labor market, price is wage. Thank you very much. In the labor market, price is wage, and quantity is the labor. I mean, people who want to work, and yeah. But these, this market is for low-skilled workers. So, let's say that it is 100 manats, okay? 100 manats. So, you come up with the idea that this number is quite unfair. And again, government regulation sets in. Government says that this number is not, is not fair. For the citizens, standard of living, it's not fair. So they say that if you want to employ somebody legally, it's very important. If you want to employ somebody legally, you have to pay them at least, for example, let's say that 450. Okay? It's just illustrative example, okay? So you say that, if you want to employ somebody legally, you have to pay them at least 450 manats. So these prices binding. I mean, just it's kind of, it has an effect. It has a, it takes effect and it makes difference. I mean, just binding means that it makes difference. Not binding means that it doesn't make, any difference. So, in this case, for example, you see quantity of labor supplied will go up. For example, who didn't like these market equilibrium price, market equilibrium wage? They try to stay away from the, labor markets. They said that, okay, this number is very low. I'm not going to work under these conditions. But right now, they see that if they want to be employed legally, they are going to be paid with the amount of 450. So it means that quantity of labor supplied, will go up. Quantity of labor supplied will go up. Okay, let's do that. So we are going to move along. Let's say that it is 3 million. Quantity of not 3 million, excuse me, 1 million. Quantity of labor supplied will go up. And we will go to this point, it's our equilibrium point. And now we have a compulsory, we have a mandatory, minimum wage. And it's a non-equilibrium price. I mean, it's not determined by the supply and demand conditions. It's determined by the government regulation. And government regulation did that to increase the standard of living or welfare, of the people. So what's going to happen? Quantity of labor supplied will go up. But on the other side, who are the demanders? Who are the demanders? Yeah, companies and firms. Thank you very much. So, now, you see that because of the binding, because of the high wage, legally established high wage, quantity of labor demanded go down. Quantity of labor demanded go down, and quantity of labor supplied go up. And in this case, in this market, with your, when you make, connection with your previous classes, you could come up with that there in this market there is shortage or surplus. So, labor market, in the labor market, with your own expressions, in the labor market, shortage mean unemployed people. So, what's the amount of shortage?
1.1.
Surplus, excuse me. The amount of surplus is 1.1, okay, let's say million, okay? So it is surplus. In the labor market, surplus equals to unemployed people. So it means that in the low-skilled workers, in the low-skilled workers market, labor market, there is 1.1 million surplus. Just unemployed people because of the regulatory minimum wage. So you know that firms has a budget. Firms has a cost budget. They will allocate this budget for employing labor. They will allocate this budget for employing raw material, inputs, and other kind of resources. When the price of input goes up, you already know that firms, has less chance to produce more. For example, let's say that your budget is 4,500 Azerbaijan manas. In previous case, you were able to employ 45 people, workers. But right now, because price has gone to there, you are, just only 10. So it means that if the input prices go up, you are able to, or you are obliged to, employ the less people. Because you have a budget. And as long as you don't increase your budget, it means that you will decrease Yeah, you will decrease production. Why you will decrease production? Because the inputs you buy, you will?
It's more expensive.
Yeah, more expensive. Exactly, exactly. But it is for the low-skilled workers. I said that somebody will come out to work, and on the other side, you know, the supply quantity of a labor supply will go down. But if you look at the, yeah, if you look at the skilled workers, I mean, who has high education? Who are highly qualified? For example, 3 years later, you will be like that. Okay. I do believe that 3 years later you will be like that. So, and for your market, you know, let's say that the WE equals to, for well-educated people, W sub E equals to, come on, don't sell yourself with that cheap amount. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's say that it's the highly qualified and well-educated workers, you know, market, labor market. And in this price, for as you are starters, let's say that it will be 3,000 Azerbaijani manats, okay? So, when they set a minimum wage, 450, it's not binding, or the pronunciation is binding then, okay? So it means that in this market, I mean in the skilled workers market, minimum wage rate is not binding. But on the unemployed, I mean just the low skilled people, or I mean just the less educated peoples or less qualified peoples, I mean workers market, it will make sense. It will make difference. But when it comes to, you know, highly skilled or well-educated people's market, which is mainly about you know, it's not binding or binding. You understand my point? Okay. Yeah.
What about if the government says minimum wage will be, for example, 4,000 minimum wage?
No, they don't say that. They don't say that. They don't say that. Why they don't say that? Because when government intervene to the market, I mean market conditions, the main purpose is to, increase the standard of living of citizens. But in this case, if the people's, wage are like that, it means that standard of living is very high. So you don't have to increase it anymore.
So they should decrease it?
No, generally they don't do that. Okay, generally they don't do that. But for example, this in our country there's not a teenage labor. For example, in the United States market, there's a lot of teenagers that they work. When they are 18 years old, they go and they find job. For example, if you are in the United States right now, you had to work. But because of our traditions and so on like that, you don't work. And thanks to our traditions, you just come here and you just enjoy the, just show or something else or so on. So it's for the, less experienced people and generally for teenagers. But this one, when it comes to highly qualified people, then minimum wage rate is not binding, of course. And the reason is that, why it's not binding, why the minimum wage rate is not, binding in the highly skilled workers labor market?
Because their previous salary were higher than this one, so they don't want to work.
Nobody will work for this wage.
Because that price is lower than equilibrium.
Thank you very much. Because market on its own. I mean just the supply and demand conditions determine a price and this price is much more than the higher of these, minimum wage rate. So in the first, option, market conditions, supply and demand conditions are not able to, give the people, give the citizens exactly, what's fair for them. But on the, the second one, on this one, the market conditions, supply and demand conditions, without any doubt, determines this. So in this case, of course, it will not be binding. It's not going to have any, effect. Okay? It's not going to make any difference. It's not going to make any difference. Yeah, for example, they give this example about the price ceiling for the United States. It says that in 1973, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Nations reduced the supply of oil. You already know that in this case, as it is the factor other than goods oven price, it's the factor than oil's oven price. Because the crude oil is a major import for gasoline, this reduction in the supply of oil caused a shift in the supply curve the gasoline left for. Okay? So it is an input. Crude oil is the input. And it make the supply curve to the shift to the left. And what's going to happen if supply shifts to the left? Price will definitely go up. So it says that there is a sharply rising prices, and government imposed a price control in gasoline. Okay, let's see it on a graph. Okay, let's see this one. So what's going to happen first? In the first situation, when S sub 1 and S sub 2, previously there was a E sub 1 equilibrium point. Then because the crude oil prices go up, gasoline supply goes down. When there is gasoline supply decrease, supply curve shifts to the left. So when supply curve shifts to the left, our new equilibrium point is E sub 2. It means that price has gone up. So, but when you apply it all over the country, overall country, then you will see that there will be a rising prices. Why? You definitely know that gasoline is the main consumption product, because people use it in their cars. So, and United States government come up with the price control. They say that no, we know that OPEC decreased the crude oil production. They make the just the price go up. We know that your inputs input prices are very high, but you are not allowed to sell above this PC. So of course it caused a shortage, and it says that shortage caused by the binding price ceiling. Okay, it was a real life example. Are you comfortable about this example? How many of you are comfortable about this one? Okay, I will see you after break time.
İki variantda